Welcome to Empowered Ease, the podcast where we challenge the patriarchy by inspiring women to take ownership of their health, mind, body, and soul. My name is Jen Olinger. I'm your host. I'm a holistic coach, a critical care nurse, and founder of the Moonflower Collective. Each episode, you'll hear from incredible women, healers, health practitioners, coaches, nurses, and pioneers making a difference. Together, we'll delve into their personal stories, the inspiration behind their work, and how women heal and thrive in community. Discover how by uniting our strengths and sharing our journeys, we transform not only ourselves, but the future of health and wellness. So tune in, be inspired, and empower yourself alongside our vibrant community of women. This is Empowered Ease. Let's embark on this journey of communal healing together. Welcome to Empowered Ease. My guest today is Avie Heidenfelder. Avie, tell me your title.
So, herbalist and holistic menopausal wellness specialist.
Ooh, those of you that know me know that last name Heidenfelder is my maiden last name, and Avie is actually my aunt. But Avie and I work together a lot. We do a lot of free workshops together. But I wanted to have Avie on the podcast because she has a interesting story and is helping women with hormones, which if you follow any of my socials, you know that mine are all over the place. Perimenopause is awful. So Avie, tell me, a little bit about this perimenopause hormonal awfulness that I'm going through and how you help people. Today is one of those days.
Today is one of those days. Well, I am not in peri. I'm already in full blown. So it is still one of those days. Yeah. So I just, I used to work in the corporate field. And I did that for several years, working for a financial firm and stuff like that. And then I guess when my husband and I decided to move, we actually live completely off grid. But when we decided to move down here and make a lot of changes, I got into the whole, what can I use around the property? So I kind of jumped into the herbal part of it and absolutely loved that. But then in the middle of all of that, menopause hit. And with being a woman who had to have a hysterectomy at 39, you're playing the guessing game all the way through. The doctor tells you, oh, you probably have 10 more years, before you have to worry about it. But you're constantly thinking about it, And so I finally got to a point where it actually hit. And I'm doing one of those things crying. And the husband's like, why are you crying? I don't know,
Yes.
So we've all been there. And if you haven't, hopefully you don't get to that point that bad. But then I wanted to just start figuring out what naturally can I do to help with my own menopause, which took me into this whole thing of, okay, this is ridiculous. Women have got to know this shit kind of thing,
right.
Well,
I think you're touching on a big thing. This is a very understudied, under talked about area that I feel like for me, I had no idea what to expect. Now we have social media, so there is way more education there. But I'm still like, oh my God, how did I not know what this was coming?
Well, and that's where I jump on my soapbox is because, I am part of the generation that our moms didn't talk about it. And they didn't talk about not just menopause, but any cycle of being a female from, your very first moon cycle all the way through menopause. It was just a conversation that was not had. And it's not their fault because their moms didn't talk about it. It was just how everybody was raised and the whole society thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the part where I'm like, bullshit. This is a conversation we're going to have. This is a normal thing for women. It should be able to be discussed just like somebody calling up someone and talking to them like, I have the flu. What should I take? Well,
Mm-hmm.
women should be able to reach out and be like, oh my God, I'm doing this in menopause. What do I do? You know,
Yeah.
so it's like breaking the whole barrier. This is not like the curse that we, kind of like getting your period and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with this. It's a natural journey. It's different for everybody,
Yeah.
and it's just something that I think needs to be brought out and talked about more.
Oh my God, I agree with you 100%. But I'm like, I am young to go through perimenopause as intensely as I am. And I think there's probably other factors like my lifestyle and job choice that make mine
Yep.
worse. But it is probably like if it wasn't so talked about to the level it is now, I think I would think I was going crazy. Like I
Oh
legit
yeah.
would think I was losing my mind sometimes because of how
Yep.
differently I can feel day to day. I made a post this week about feeling numb, like just feeling like waking up
Yes.
one day and I just couldn't understand. I didn't feel caring towards anything like
Mm-hmm.
anyone else. And that is not who I am. Like I
Right.
generally am like an overly caring person who does a lot for a lot of people. And
Yep.
I couldn't even understand who I was because I'm like, why do I do this? Like it
Right.
felt
Right. Why do I
scary.
feel like this?
Yeah, I'm like,
I
that's scary.
Yeah, I wrote about it last week in my
Mhm.
newsletter that I'm usually the funny, the sarcastic, the usually annoying friend probably. And I'm the one that reaches out to everybody, and I'm the one that tries to make everybody feel better or lighten the mood and everything else. And like for 2 weeks, I'm like, I don't want to be around anybody.
Mhm.
I was not me. And I
Mhm.
didn't want that coming off onto anybody else. And it's
Mhm.
like, no, they don't know me that way, but I'm just going to sit here in my little shell and I'm not going to see anybody and I'm not going to go anywhere and I'll communicate by messaging, but that was even limited
Yeah.
because, and then I went out and I sat in my garden and I sat there in the sun and I started crying for no reason. Because, and I can't say for no reason, I started crying because I was not me.
Mhm.
And you can sit there and you can feel this is not me. This is not who I am. This is not how I normally am. This is
Mhm.
not right. What the hell is going on? You know?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's why way back in the day, so many people, women that were put in psych wards, psych hospitals. Their
Yeah.
husbands were like, "Oh my God, they're batshit crazy or whatever." No, no, honey, it was menopause.
It's our
There's
bodies.
every. I swear, my body feels like it's killing me.
Yeah,
You
some days
know.
mine does too. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, to me, it's the whole conversation about, I want my granddaughter to know everything.
yeah.
And I have no doubt that my daughter-in-laws will make sure that happens. But I want not just our daughters, I want our sons to know, because our sons are going to grow up and be around women that are going through all of this. And they
Mhm.
need to understand. They're not going to have total empathy or whatever, but they need to at least have a little bit of an idea of what is going on with women in their lives and how to help handle that and
Yeah.
how to actually be a cheerleader and support system instead of, oh my God, you're so crabby today. You know?
Oh yeah. I think my
Yeah.
husband just withdraws because he's like, I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a few steps back now.
Yeah. It used to every morning, I would get up and get coffee or whatever, and Mike would be like, oh, did you sleep okay? Now, usually it's like, how are we doing today?
Scanning
Almost
him.
like his pre warning of the, it's not a good day, or hey, we're good. We're,
Right.
yeah. I think I can't say that I feel sorry for him, but he
Neither.
does hear about the details and everything about menopause more than probably most men in this world.
Oh.
Because I'll be like, hey, did you know the reason I was like this is because
Oh,
he'd be
educating him
like,
all the time. I do that to my husband too.
Okay.
He says
But
he
it's
can tell
good.
what kind of a mood I'm in by how I greet our dogs at the door when I get home from
Oh,
work. He's like,
yeah,
how
but
you
see,
greet
that's
the dogs, I
good.
can tell.
That's good though that he
Yeah.
picks up on that
Yeah.
because a lot of guys don't. You
Mhm.
know, they don't pay attention to that. So it doesn't mean we don't want to smack them around later, if we're in that mood,
Oh
but
yeah. I
still,
don't think it helps a whole lot, but
right?
who
Yeah.
knows? So how do you work with women and their fluctuating hormones?
So I do have a coaching program coming up pretty soon. I do have a free I am doing some free little mini workshops that lets people get a little bit of information about
Mhm.
menopause, whether it is an overall view of like the three stages so you can figure out where you're at, because that's always helpful. You can't, I know they have the guidelines of the age and all that. You can't go by that because
It's very
everybody's different.
understudied.
It is, and everybody is different. It's
Mhm.
not like Tylenol works for everybody. Everybody's different, and their daily lives, their diet, their activity, all of that affects
Mhm.
what you're going through when it comes through menopause. So I do some mini workshops, and like I said, I've got the coaching program coming up. I probably will be rolling that out in about a week or two, actually. So I'm really excited
Mm.
about that. So that will be it'll be a month. So it'll be 4 check-ins, about an hour and a half to 2 hours each time. And what we're going to do is we're going to start out by assessing where you're at, how your body is, what your lifestyle is, and everything else. I'm going to personalize a product specifically, whether it be tincture or herbal tea, that is solely just based on the assessment that we do.
Oh, cool.
And then we're also going to work through some of the holistic stuff. So it'll be diet, activity, moving, mindfulness, and all of that. So we'll do
Cool.
that for a week. Yeah, or a month. I'm sorry. Once a week
Mhm.
for a month.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Also I wanted to touch on this earlier, but you mentioned that you live off of grid. Um,
Yeah.
you want to tell us a little bit about how cool it is where you live? Your
Actually, it's very
story.
cool.
It is very
Yeah.
cool.
It is very cool. You technically, it's not cool to get to my house because our neighbor up front is kind of, junkyard-ish. But it is cool in the fact that a lot of people don't know we're back here
Mhm.
because you'd have to drive in his drive to get to us. And
Mhm.
so, literally, yeah, we're back here surrounded by just woods, and that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we've been here for 9 years. Yeah, we've 9 years we've lived off grid. We started out in we like to call it our little tent house.
Well, you
And it
guys
was,
you retired,
yeah,
right? You both retired
yes, yeah,
and decided to like live, like you guys bought some property and basically like built your own little paradise, right?
yeah. So what we were doing was we bought the property. We lived in Illinois. We bought the property. We were going to come down here on the weekends and do stuff. Mike retired, and this was just going to be our hangout and place to get away. And we were down here. I think we bought it in March, and we had it for a year that we both were working, and we would come down here and hang out and do some stuff. And then the following year, he had retired, and we came down like 3 months after he retired, and we spent 2 weeks down here. And when we left knowing that, or I knew, I had no clue when I was going to be able to get back down here because I was still working full time and doing, 50 hours a week and stuff like that. I left crying because I didn't know when I would be able to get back down here. But on the way home, Mike was like, "Hey, I know at some point this was supposed to be our retirement, live here once I retired." And he's like, "But what we want to really do, living off grid, is going to take a lot more work. So I think you're just going to have to retire early."
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the plan was we were eventually going to move down here, but I was just going to move branches. I was going to transfer from the branch in Illinois that I was at to a branch in Rolla that was
Mm,
closer, and I was going to continue to work. But it did take, because we built our own house, the two of us,
mm-hmm.
and everything else, and it was solid woods where we were, so we had to clear out stuff and clear the trees. So it was a lot of work. And so he was like, I think you're just going to have to retire early. I'm like, okay, okay.
Hmm.
I was ready for a stroke anyway, working with the stock market and stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
no, yeah, let me be out in nature in my tank top and whatever, and I'm good.
Playing in your garden and in the woods.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We have 4 gardens, so yeah.
And that is that so is that when you started getting into herbalism, or was that had you done that any of that stuff before?
Actually, I hadn't. Not the herbal part. Now, hiding in the woods, I did that my entire life growing up.
Yeah.
So, everybody used to talk about you knew you had a good life when you knew you went home when the street lights went out. Well, I lived out in the middle on I can't say a farm. We did have a lot of animals. I helped my dad hand milk cows. I had 13 baby goats for my 13th birthday. We
Oh.
had the pigs, we had all of this stuff, the chickens, obviously, and stuff like that. And I would go out into the woods and hide. I would pack me a backpack and I would go hide in the woods. And I actually had this one tree. There was this huge juniper right on the side of a pond, and it umbrellaed. It was so big that the bottom would umbrella, and I would climb underneath that, and that was like my little fort.
Oh,
Well,
I love it.
then, so to when it was time to go home, you could hear my dad honk the horn on the truck. And that meant get your butt home. It's time for dinner, kind of thing. So I mean, the outdoors part has always been in me. And I think that was the hardest part with having a corporate job
Mm-hmm.
was, that was two different lives. And when I actually told people we were moving down here to do this, everybody that I had worked with for and known in the industry for, almost 20 years was like, "Oh my God, why would you want to do that? Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "But that's where I'm from. That's what I used." No way. Because I was, the 5-inch heels, the dress for corporate, the whole thing. And I'm like, no, this is me for a job, but that's me, you know?
Yeah.
So when we got down here and got in the woods, this was like, okay, I'm finally home. I'm finally home. But there was a time that I saw one of the wineries that we love to go to, Peaceful Bend in Stillville. And they're amazing. Love the owners. And they had what they were calling a wild walk, and they had a lady coming, and you could come, you could, get your wine, have lunch, whatever. She took you on a walk around the property and pointed out all the different plants and things like that, told you what they were good for. And it was like something, a light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh my God, this is this is amazing. And we left there, and on the way home, I told my husband, I'm like, what would be cool is if she would do a class or a internship or apprentice, something like that. I'm like, I would really like to know. We have all of this around us. He said, I would love to know that there's something out there I can use if we're in the woods and get hurt or anything. And it was just that, just the basics. What can I use if I'm here, cut myself, but don't have a band-aid? Well, you can use yarrow. Well, I didn't know that. So it
Oh
was those
yeah.
simple, yeah, it was those simple little things. And I think it was like 3 months I started following her, Colleen from Turtle Earth. And I think it was like 3 months. And all of a sudden she posts on Facebook, taking applications for my first apprenticeship.
Ooh,
Yeah.
meant to be, meant to be.
I instantly sent her a thing. She sent me the application. I filled it out and sent it back the same damn day. I didn't need to. I had 2 months to do it, but I did. And luckily she did. She ended up picking 5 of us. And so
Oh,
I did a working apprenticeship with her. And
That's
so we
cool.
would go and we would do stuff for the property that they were building. And then we would do herbal and stuff like that. And then as I got into that, I just was like, okay, now I want to, I can't save the world. I can't know absolutely everything about every plant and what it does. And so I wanted to kind of, I don't want to say minimize, but focus. And that's
Yeah.
when the menopausal part came in.
Specialize.
Yeah. And that's when the menopausal part came in. Because I'm like, this is so needed. This is,
Mm-hmm.
you can find the other, you can Google something simple like the yarrow will stop, a bleeding for cut and stuff like that. But I didn't feel like there was as much herbal when it came to natural things that help balance your hormones and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when, yeah, I dug deep for that. So,
Love it. Very
yeah.
cool. Very needed. So, if people want to learn more about you or follow along or receive your blog, where will they find you?
Okay, so I'm kind of everywhere in odd places. Facebook, definitely. Under my herbalist journey and warrior heart. I am also on Instagram, YouTube. I just started YouTube. I'm trying to move some of my videos over to that. I just started Substack. So I do have a free subscription for a weekly newsletter that I do. It's not always herbal. Sometimes it's just me on whatever hits me. So that's on Substack. And then I have a website that is myherbalistjourney.com.
Love it.
All those. And on
Love
the
it.
website, I do have several free PDFs. So
Mhm.
I have a PDF on quick herbal guides. I have one on embracing menopause. I have a specific one on endometriosis, ovarian system, uterine fibroids. That's all together in one. And
Oh,
then
cool.
I have one on the wise women ways and hormonal health. Those are all out there. You can view them or you can download them and print them.
They're on your
Yep.
website.
Those are on my website. Yep. It's
Yeah.
underneath the article and free PDFs. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So Avie and I also do together. We do 2 free workshops a month. We do like a one on the new moon for like clearing energy blocks and to align with whatever like the goals of the new moon are. They're basically a little education on energy and herbs or herbal allies, and then we do 2 long mindfulness. And then we're starting a series on the chakras, and we're doing this month. We're just doing an overall like introduction to the chakras. And then we're going to work our way from the root to the crown and then do like a full balance of the whole thing at the end. So those are all free and we do them virtually online if anybody wants to come to those. It's a lot of fun. We've gotten a little following, so it's
Yeah.
exciting. And you leave feeling really good because it's basically just like 2 peaceful mindfulnesses. So,
Yeah. It's very
and a little
relaxing.
education.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, love that.
Okay.
Well, Avie, thanks so much for coming on here. I was excited to have you.
Thanks.
We work together all the time, but I definitely wanted to have you on the podcast so people could hear about all the awesome things you're doing. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Anything
Yay.
else you? Oh, I didn't ask you. I always ask everyone what their
What?
go-to self-care is. What's your go-to self-care when like things are awful and it's your one thing that makes things better?
Honestly, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do this. I usually go out in the woods and sit. I
I was
have,
wondering if that was what it's going to be.
yeah, we have a section of our property that has huge boulders. And like when I do a new moon ceremony, I take people over there and that's where we meditate. And it
Oh,
overlooks the dry creek and stuff. So that's my go-to. I'll just
I love it.
pack a little backpack and walk over there and hang out. Yep.
I love that. That's
And
beautiful.
hug a tree.
Oh, hug a tree.
Yeah.
That's cute. I love it. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And I
Thank
will put
you.
all the links to all your stuff in the show notes.
Awesome.
Welcome to Empowered Ease, the podcast where we challenge the patriarchy by inspiring women to take ownership of their health, mind, body, and soul. My name is Jen Olinger. I'm your host. I'm a holistic coach, a critical care nurse, and founder of the Moonflower Collective. Each episode, you'll hear from incredible women, healers, health practitioners, coaches, nurses, and pioneers making a difference. Together, we'll delve into their personal stories, the inspiration behind their work, and how women heal and thrive in community. Discover how by uniting our strengths and sharing our journeys, we transform not only ourselves, but the future of health and wellness. So tune in, be inspired, and empower yourself alongside our vibrant community of women. This is Empowered Ease. Let's embark on this journey of communal healing together.